let Cliff know.
Do we get to make the announcement in the event that there is in fact a tornado? Don't know
The lesser the better.
Just trying to lighten the loop. Years ago, I would never.
I cured you of that with a t-shirt.
Yes.
It's been my experience since I was sometimes asking what the dress code is. Because I grew up with a rabbi who wouldn't have gone out for milk at midnight without having to finish himself. Yet alone in the sanctuary. So
Straight just time when he gets up at night to go to bed.
this is true. All right, we're on. Who's announcing?
Yeah,
announcing.
Announcing
and banking.
Yes.
Awesome.
Official announcement.
Forget that we're on. Oh,
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you. We welcome everybody here tonight for services. And just as a reminder, please shut off your cell phones. No texting the rabbi or the cantor. At least put them on mute. Right, exactly. And trust your inbox. How about that, Leslie? And we want to wish you a good Shabbat, and we're glad you're here tonight with us. And we look forward to a lovely evening. When the cantor returns. Here he comes.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Kol hanshama hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol hanshama hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol hanshama hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol hanshama hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. The words are easy. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Rare that we can begin Shabbat with the announcement, in the case of a tornado. I'm so glad to see all of you. I have to tell you, on a night when we're not quite sure to have such a beautiful congregation to pray with and to share Shabbat, to make sure the joy of Pesach lasts as long as possible. And we'll talk about that in a minute. What a blessing it is to have all of you here as we come together with one voice in prayer. Our service begins on pages 2 and 3 with the lighting of Shabbat candles as we invite Arlene and Alana to the Bima to share in the honor. First reading.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us.
As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Shabbat, no Passover. Shabbat. Amen.
Amen.
It's one of those nights. Page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ava u'v'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron le'maseh v'reishit. כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון הנחתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Page 9. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. Page 8 together. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities of my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. Continue on pages 20, 21 with Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה ונשבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה ונשבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, שם ותפארת ונתינה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה ונשבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה ונשבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סופה עשה במחשבה תחילה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה ונשבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה ונשבת נקבלה. Verse 5. התעוררי, התעוררי, תבעורי ומיעורי, אורי אורי, דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה ונשבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה ונשבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום עטרת בלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה ונשבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה ונשבת נקבלה.
The bottom of page 27. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without God's presence. Page 26.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, תלמד דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם עולם מעלמיה, יתברך יתברך ויתברך ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. אמין כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן.
Continue on page 30.
The world into being. נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה, נגע יומם ולילה. ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. Adonai Echad, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. לה 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 יה לה 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 יה לה 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 יה לה 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 ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. לה לה יה לה 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 והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך. לה לה יה לה 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 ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. לה לה יה לה 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 יה לה 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 למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Page 38, together. All this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us. You alone are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You are our sovereign and Savior, who delivers us from oppressors' hands and saves us from tyrants' fists. You work wonders without number, marvels beyond count. You give us life and steady our footsteps. You perform miracles for us before Pharaoh, signs and wonders in the land of the Egyptians. You led your people Israel out from their midst to freedom for all time. When your children witnessed your dominance, they praised your name in gratitude and they accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices joyously.
מי כמוך באל עם אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. נורא תהילות אוסף אליהם, נורא תהילות אוסף אליהם. מלכותך אהוב עניך, חוקי הים לפני משה. זה עניינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר יפד אדוני את יעקב, וגלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גד ישראל. Page 44. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. בני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בנורותם ברית עולם.
Page 46, we rise together.
Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Patay kita. Na 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 Ufi agit tehilatecha. Ufi agit tehilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Patay kita. Na 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 Ufi agit tehilatecha. Ufi agit tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני בחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדום אליך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. Page 55, together at the top of the page. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Together on page 57, together in the middle of the page, you are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, shotecha levarecha, v'yirah na'avod.
As we mark the end of our Festival of Freedom, we remember that we have so much to be thankful for beyond just our freedom. So if there's anything for which we're particularly thankful for this week, please just raise your hand and I'll call on you. Yes. Ooh, Mazel Tov. Yes.
Mazel tov.
Niece and nephew became parents. That makes you
And uncle.
not just a good uncle. Pause to say thank you.
Modim אנחנו לך, modim אנחנו לך.
Yes. So far, so good. All right. One last giving thanks then.
modim אנחנו לך, modim אנחנו לך.
Our prayer for peace, Birkat Shalom, is found on page 60. Please join with us.
Shalom Rab על ישראל עמך, שים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, שים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, שים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, שים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, שים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, שים לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, המברך את עמו ישראל, השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, שים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, שים לעולם. שים לעולם. שים לעולם.
The rabbis of old were concerned that as a prayer service became fixed and we began to pray the words that were before us, that we would forget that prayer is meant to be dynamic. That each time we pray, it's as if we come before God for the first time. And so they called upon us after the blessing of Birkat Shalom that we should take moments to add our own words to the words of the liturgy, to come before God with our hopes and dreams, and pray that when we connect with God, we'll be inspired to go out and to help make the world a better place. And with this, we continue with silent prayer.
Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Vegoali, Vegoali.
Let us pause to open up our hearts and our minds just a little wider as we prepare to offer a prayer on behalf of those who are ill. Some among us believe that the Misha Be'erach has transformative powers, that it literally causes God to focus, to give strength and healing. Others of us believe that this is the opportunity to remind ourselves of our responsibility to partner with God, to reach out to those who are ill, to help bring God's presence and God's strength and God's love towards the process of healing. And that's why we say names aloud, to remind ourselves of who we know needs our presence in their life, and for the congregation to share others who need our presence in their lives. And so, as we say these names, let it inspire us to partner with God and to help bring healing to this world. On this Shabbat, our prayers are with Megan Mary DePero, Rhoda Schwartz, Arlene Grable, Donald Molaski, Teddy Molaski, Nathan Hecker, Jeff Stoller, Phil Jarvis, Marilyn Fessel, Jan Gale, Claire Meyer, Linda Grunbaum, Howard Rosenblatt, Dolores Rosenblatt, Stephanie Herman, Allison Stadius, Pamela White, William Giacasola, and those we invite for you to add, to say a name aloud, that we may join you in prayer.
Carol Marks.
Yosef Moshe ben Hirshhinda, Zahava bat Rivka.
May all whose names have been said aloud remain a special place in our heart. May they all come to know Refuah Shlema, complete and a speedy recovery, as we continue with our communal prayer for healing found on the screen in front of us.
And Moses cried, Heal Miriam, this I pray. And Moses cried, Heal Miriam, this I pray. Miriam, this I pray, Erna Rifanala, Erna Rifanala, Erna Rifanala, Erna Rifanala.
Shabbat Shalom again, everyone. Okay, I need to conduct a not-so-scientific study. So I'm going to ask you to raise your hands with the following questions if you don't mind. If you wish to remain secret, of course, you don't have to respond. But I'm just curious. How many of you observe Passover for 8 days? Please raise your hand. How many of you observe Passover for 7 days? Please raise your hand. 2 more questions. How many of you, maybe a third, how many of you who are observing for 7 days have already eaten chametz or plan to eat chametz tonight, being that the 7th day is over? Please raise your hand. How many of you who observe for 7 days have not and do not plan to eat chametz until tomorrow night? How many of you are trying to figure out when the 7th day ended and when the 8th day really ends? How many are trying to figure out why the rabbi is asking so many questions? Awesome. So I'm going to explain what's going on. The Torah says unequivocally that Pesach and the other festival holidays last 7 days. On the 15th day of Nisan, it shall be the first day of Pesach, a chag, a holiday, no working. And you know the drill. Seder, 15 steps. Pesach begins. We say the blessing for matzah because that's the time we're commanded to eat matzah. Then we stop and ask every single day when we light candles and when we eat matzah after that, am I supposed to do this blessing or not that blessing? It's so confusing. We go through the 6 days and then on the 7th day, it's a chag again. It's a holiday. Supposed to be no work, supposed to be a Seder. How many of you had a Seder on the 7th day? How many of you are still getting a little confused as we go? I promise I'm going to get you where I want you to be. And therefore, we know that the holiday of Passover is a 7-day holiday, no questions asked. And here's what happened. This is where the 8th day comes from. See, many moons ago, there were moons. You see, that's the way we determined when the new month begins. A Jewish month works on the lunar calendar. A lunar month is about 29 and a half days. So some Hebrew months are 29 days, some are 30 days. And the way we decided when the new month would begin is the court in Jerusalem, the Sanhedrin, would literally hold a trial. Witnesses would come and say, I saw the new moon today. When the judges were convinced, they voted, today is Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the month. But you see, they then had to get the word out to everybody else. And here's how they first did it. They did it the smart way. They did it by fire. They'd light a fire, you'd see a fire, that community would light a fire, and the word got out, and people would learn pretty quickly when the new month began. They could then count to the 15th day and know when the holiday was, celebrate it 7 days according to the Torah, and everything was hunky-dory. Until the Cuthians came along. And they didn't like the rabbis very much. And they started this scam where they would just periodically light fires to make believe the new month had happened. And people started observing the holiday on the wrong day, breaking Torah, which was the Cuthians' whole intent. So the rabbis changed, and instead they sent messengers to the communities. And you had to get the messenger, I guess, with the secret code, and then you knew it was for real. The challenge was getting the word out was more limited and more difficult because it takes time for a person to travel as opposed to a fire signal. Couldn't get too far, and they had to do it within 2 weeks before most of the Chagim begin on the 15th day. So the outlying communities only, because they didn't know exactly the day, but they could get it down to one or the other day, they observed an extra day, which is where the second Seder comes from, only supposed to be one holiday in the beginning. They had to do the second to make sure they got it right. They had to add the 8th day to make sure they covered the right 7. The last 7th day had to be Chag. They covered the 8th. They figured better to do too much than not enough. And then the 4th century comes around, and we figure out how the calendar can be decided based on mathematical computation as opposed to astrological testimony. No questions asked. The Sanhedrin didn't need to meet anymore. However, according to the Babylonian Talmud, the communities outside of Israel still needed to observe the extra day. And here's their explanation. In case one day people forget how to make the calendar correct, they'll get it right anyway. Literally. The rabbis said the reason to keep the extra day was just in case people forget how to do the computations. Okay. And so the 8th day, outside of Israel, remains the practice going forward. And then in 1864, a bunch of rabbis met in Breslau. They were the non-Orthodox rabbis. They didn't have an official Reform conservative yet. It was non-Orthodox, and they met in Breslau to figure out what the official changes were going to be in this modernization or renaissance of Judaism, which has started about 60-ish years earlier. And they decided that the need for the extra day of Chag outside of Israel no longer was relevant in the modern world. They knew exactly when the 15th of Nisan would arrive, and so they decided that for non-Orthodox rabbis, for non-Orthodox Jews later to become Reform as we know it, 7 days, just like the Reform, the Conservative, and the Orthodox in Israel. We observe, like the Orthodox in Israel, 7 days. And in the 1960s, the conservative movement had a vote and said it's up to the rabbi of each synagogue to decide how many days of Pesach, 7 or 8, his or her, at the time his, synagogue would observe. And I'm sure there are 1 or 2 somewhere, but I don't know a conservative synagogue that went to the 7 days. The synagogue, almost all of conservative is 8 days. It's the rabbi in a conservative synagogue that makes all of the religious judgments for his or her congregation. Imagine that. They don't have to meet with committees. It's absurd. We get to do it by committee, and I happen to like that better. But the conservative movement, 8 days. Reconstructing Judaism, formerly known as Reconstructionist Judaism, they went through a recent name change. Almost all of Reconstructing Judaism went with 7 days. Orthodoxy, absolutely 8 days, except those small little communities where these expatriate Israelis who come over, sometimes they go to a 7-day within the Orthodox 8, but for the most part, Reform 7, Conservative 8, Orthodox 8, Reconstructing 7. You with me so far? Should be case closed, 7 days. Passover's over. Now here's the next question. Passover is over, by the way, for Reform Jews and for Orthodox Jews in Israel and Conservative and Reform in Israel. Passover's over. It should be pizza and lo mein for everybody. Except, there's always an except. Passover is over, but in Israel, no chametz tonight. Because it's Shabbat. And here's the thing. Remember, in traditional Judaism, we sell the chametz to somebody else so that we don't own it. It may stay on site. You may lock it up with impenetrable newspaper or whatever your family tradition is. The chametz is out. Technically, you need to purchase it back or buy new chametz. You can't just reach into the cupboard. And here's the thing. Of course, Orthodox and observant halachic Jews can't purchase something on Shabbat. God doesn't sneak in the 5 minutes between the end of Passover and Shabbat to do it. So although Passover is over for Orthodox Jews in Israel, they still don't eat chametz. It's not an extra day of Passover, as some people say. It's not. It's not Passover. But there's still chametz that's forbidden. So here's the question. Reformed Jews, we don't have a halachic prohibition against purchasing back the chametz we never sold. Because we don't usually practice the selling of chametz. Many of us put it away, lock it up in newspaper or whatever, but we don't have to. So what do? And here's what our movement says. I've been looking for some sort of an authoritative, not that it's binding, and it's as if we didn't know it was Shabbat tonight, or we didn't make a difference, or whatever the case might be. So what do Reformed Jews do tonight? Now to switch to this week's Torah portion. I'm going to get you there, I promise. In this week's Torah portion, this is where you're supposed to ask which of this week's Torah portions, because those who observe Pesach an 8th day have an 8th day Passover reading. What do Reformed Jews do? We don't have an 8th day. We only have one. What do? We borrow from next week's Torah portion and bring it to this week, half of it. And then we continue the other half next week. So we're starting Acharei Mot this week, but only read the first half of Acharei Mot, and then we study the second half of Acharei Mot next week. Even those of you who are not into this stuff, I hope you're at least getting interested, right? So Acharei Mot begins the Holiness Code. It's a few weeks of Parshiot where the Torah tells us what we need to do to be holy. You shall be holy because I am Adonai. I, Adonai, your God, am holy. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 1, we're not there, but we started the how to be holy thing. Holy, separated for a special and unique purpose. We often talk about holiness as being higher, better. We're a holy people, they're not holy peoples, therefore we are better. Not the case. Separate, unique, set aside for a special purpose. By the way, I set aside my oldest son for a special purpose all the time. And I separate my second and third sons, who are twins, for a special purpose all the time. In different ways, I love them all the same, but they're all set aside for different separate purposes. So when we talk about being holy and being set aside for a special purpose, it doesn't mean that we think we're better than others. We think we're unique, not only as a people, but individuals are supposed to be holy. We're each supposed to find our path to connect to something more righteous and better, to do our thing among others to make the world a better place. That's what we begin this week. The question is, how do we get there? How do we become holy? And it's great, the Torah lays out mitzvah after mitzvah, commandment after commandment. Do this to be holy, do that to be holy. The thing is, Reformed Jews don't necessarily believe the mitzvot are binding. So we have to find and understand holiness in a different way. And I would argue that way is that we study, We learn and we make informed decisions based on Torah and other ways we find our Jewish ethics on what it means to be holy and how to do the right thing, how I can be unique and special and set aside by God for a special purpose and partner with God to make a difference in the world. And that's why I talked about Misha Baruch the way I did earlier. We each have to find our way. And we each need to be inspired in different ways. We need to make our own decisions. And that's the difference of Reform Judaism. Some say Reform is easier. It's not easier if you take it seriously. It's much more difficult. Because you don't just get a handbook of what you have to do to get God's "you're holy." You actually have to study, and you have to learn, and you have to be present, and you have to be inspired, and you need to make a conscious decision each step of the way. So here's an old adage: you are what you eat. I don't keep Pesach because I'm commanded to. I keep Pesach because it reminds me during these period of days that I'm a Jew. And my people were slaves. And I have to be informed about the world around me based on that heritage. I have to do what I have to do to make the world a better place because I was a slave, and that's what Pesach reminds me, not just during the Seder, but every time I go through a place where they're going to give a free sample of food and I can't take it. Or every time I go into the refrigerator and it's missing. Pesach dietary is about making conscious choices. So what do we do on the 8th day? It's not the 8th day, Rabbi. Good. I'm glad you were paying attention. What do we do when the 7 days are up but it's Shabbat? What choice do I make? Do I eat the chametz or don't I? And here's the answer. It's up to you. You have to choose. You have to consciously stop, and even if you eat the chametz, you've at least stopped to think about it, and that's the goal. Because now you remember you're unique, special, set aside for a purpose. You have to make the world a better place because of that. So, to show you we practice what we preach, when you go to the oneg, you can go to the left, it's kosher for Passover. You can go to the right, it's chametz. Either way, no matter what you do, absolutely no judgment because they're both right. But just think about it. And when you do, one thing you're going to do during Shabbat that's holy, that makes the world a better place, and then the choices absolutely make this the joyous, most joyous time of year. Shabbat Shalom. Friends, our service continues on page 282. We rise together.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו, אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשב אותה אל לבביך. כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We continue on page 290. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. Fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be an ode to lose. Thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing to love what death has touched. As we prepare to share Kaddish Yatom, prayer that does not mention death, but rather praises God for the gift of life, we pause to think of our loved ones who are no longer with us, to allow their memory to continue to give inspiration and love long after their time on earth. So many of us sat around the Seder table, knowing that there were people who used to be there, whose body may not have been, but whose memory and whose love and inspiration very much remain part of who we are and what we do. So as we prepare to read the list aloud of those who are observing Shiv'ah, a 30-day period since death, or Yartzeit, we invite all of us to remember our loved ones, even those whose names will not be said aloud. For during this time of year, their love and their inspiration continues to give blessing each and every day. We currently are in a period of the first 7 days of death, as we remember and recall with love T. Rabbit Orbach, son of Frank Orbach and stepson of Annette Onima Orbach. We're in the period of the first 30 days of mourning, as we recall with love Eileen Davidson, the mother of Donna Zeller, Samantha Josephson, the daughter of Marcy and Seymour, Jean Pucciati, the mother of Joe Pucciati, Erwin Markman, the father of Susan Kaber and the grandfather of Jeremy Kaber, and Carol Baraz Shelley, a friend of Ellen Chasen. The name of a loved one has already been read aloud. We invite you to please stand. And we also invite those who are observing a yahrzeit to stand with the mentioning of your loved one: Harriet Solit, Jess Cohen, Abraham Liebhaber, Saul Bloom, Jacob Jacobs, Hilda Siegel, Pearl Cohen, William Dickerman, Kenneth Esser, Sam Goldberg, Robert Gilbert, Samuel Gordon, Pauline Gordon, David Miller, Harry Horowitz, Cynthia Courer, Louis Mattis, Lillian Frankel, Rhoda Nagler, Rose Orbach, Florence Nernberg, Bernard Pennick, Ann Rifkin, Malcolm Robbins, Jamie Bender, Barbara Gardetz, Bernard Bud Schaffler, Bernard Hoods, Hyman Lieberman, Muriel Mimi Schneider, Bessie Springer, Elizabeth Daniel, Sylvia Weintraub, Tessie Weisberg, Natalie Rosenfeld, Anna Pitkowski, Meyer Merton Duchin, Hilda Wilicki, Saul Herring, Ruth Knoll, Evelyn Rudick Lombardo, Max Whitman. If there's anyone else observing Shiva Shloshim or Yartzeit and a name has not yet been said aloud, we invite you to please stand. Say the name of your loved one aloud. In loving memory of all whose names have been said aloud, and for those who no longer have anyone to observe Yartzeit, and in loving support of our community, we stand together alongside our mourners as we share Kaddish Yatom, page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad yifrachu utei v'yamich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru, Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach leolam u'lomei al-maya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yiturmam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei Kedusha Barichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, ta'miran ba'alma v'imru, Yehei Shalom Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru, Hoseh Shalom b'mrumav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to this entire world. As together we say.
Amen.
Please be seated. Before I invite Cliff to give this evening's announcements, I first want to publicly thank him for adding the beauty of his talent and skill on drums to add a little measure, extra measure of joy on this Shabbat. And now, without further ado, the announcements are all yours.
Announce away. Where are they? Okay. Shabbat Shalom. My name is Cliff Hochberg, and I'm representing the board. I'd like to offer appreciation to the ushers and Onik hosts and hostesses for their help tonight. Join us Sunday, 9 a.m. for the annual congregational meeting. The clothing and shoe drive fundraiser ends noon on Sunday. The more our collection weighs, the more we raise. Wednesday morning, Cantor Binder takes a look at the stories of Chelm, the mythical town full of fools, or is it more? And on Wednesday evening, we will gather to commemorate the Yom HaShoah with a dramatic reading of the play Weisenthal by Harlan Tuchman, followed by a service of remembrance. Shabbat Shalom.
Our closing song, an extra pitch for peace. We join together in Osa Shalom, page 338.
Ose Shalom Im Roma
I invite all of our congregants who have not yet become bar bat mitzvah to please join us up front. Up front in the center, you guys have the most important job of the day. Each of you grab a handle. If you drop it, we have to do Passover another 40 days and 40 nights, so be extra careful. And if you pull off the cloth, we'll figure out what's underneath. We went with chametz this year. Next year, may it be matzah. We rise together.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Those who prefer to go the matzah route, it is on the oneg, I promise. You guys get to share it. We invite you, please, to put your arms around a loved one, reach out a hand to a friend, reach out a hand and make a new friend. Please don't leave anyone hanging.
Go ahead.
Eternal God, we stand before you in thanksgiving for all of our blessings in life, for the love of family, the support of friends, for the strength that comes from being part of sacred community, for the beauty of your creation that swirls around us each day. For all of these blessings and more, we give you our thanks and our praise. We invoke your name as we ask that your presence will be with us throughout Shabbat and the day to come, and that you will bring an extra measure of inspiration and love to us, our families, our community, and to this entire world.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha.
May God bless us and protect us.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's presence be with us and be gracious to us.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May God's eyes remain fixed upon us as they are at this moment. May God bless us and all peoples of this world with God's greatest gift of all, the gift of peace.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.